We're back again at SLN. It's our 5th episode, and we hope you enjoy the show. There's nothing quite like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. There's also nothing quite like hurricane-force winds threatening to lift the roof off your house. We often curse the wind, but we know that when combined with the right technology, the wind is a valuable energy resource. Here, the St. Lawrence Wind Energy Project has been churning it out since 2008, feeding the Newfoundland power grid with 27 megawatts of electricity. That's enough to power the Burin Peninsula. When renewable energy became a government priority in the early 2000s, an Italian company happened to be expanding into North America.
Mamma mia!
This company, Enel Green Power, quickly figured out that Newfoundland was a prime location for wind. And St. Lawrence became this company's first wind project in Canada. It was also Newfoundland's first commercial wind project, and it remains one of only 2 wind farms in the province today. An exact replica of the St. Lawrence project was developed in Fermuse on the southern shore. The St. Lawrence site has 9 turbines at 3 megawatts each. They are Vestas V90 Mark 8, manufactured in Denmark. That's the country that pioneered wind technology. The span of the turbine blades measures 90 meters in diameter. The towers that hold the turbines are 80 meters high, or nearly 300 feet. I think we call the turbines smart turbines because they don't simply rotate at the speed of the wind, they rotate at a controlled 17 revolutions per minute. The speed is determined by the pitch or angle of the blades, so the blades are always shifting to control the impact of the wind. If the wind reaches 90 kilometers per hour, the turbines automatically shut down. And if an ice storm or other severe weather appears in the forecast, the entire operation is shut down to avoid serious damage. Energy produced from the turbines feed collector lines to the site's own substation. There are 3 collector lines, with 3 turbines feeding each one. At the substation, that energy from the turbines is transformed from 25 kilovolts to 66 kilovolts, which is what's needed to feed into the Laurentian substation owned by Newfoundland Power, and then into the Newfoundland grid system. The Rhines Hill site in St. Lawrence was selected for several reasons. It had the right average annual wind speed. It had the Laurentian substation, which was an easy access point to feed the grid. But it turns out it's not just the amount and speed of the wind that matters. Quality is also an issue. And St. Lawrence area happened to have a very high quality wind. Who would have guessed? The high moisture and salt content in our air creates a denser wind that drives the wind turbines more effectively and can create more energy at a lower wind speed. So this silent but highly visible installation on the hill has been feeding the Newfoundland grid for 12 years now. It creates no emissions, and each year it eliminates the burning of 165,000 barrels of oil at Holyrood Generating Station. The site also has an excellent safety record, with no incidents in 12 years. Early on, there was a concern about the impact on birds, but a bird dog was hired to patrol the site for weeks on end. He didn't find a single dead bird. So the birds seem to have adapted to the turbines. Bill Malloy says the partridge are doing just fine up there. And this snowy owl seems to enjoy the view from Ryan's Hill. Apparently he spends a lot of time on site. It takes 4 people to keep the wind farm operating smoothly. They are all electrical technicians who were then apprenticed and specially trained in wind technology. Randy Parsons is the local representative of the company that owns the operation, and he monitors and oversees the entire Ryan's Hill substation. Then the company that manufactured the turbines, Vestas, has 3 local technicians to keep the turbines rotating smoothly and operating according to plan. These turbines stand into the wind constantly, so they take a lot of abuse with constant vibration and sway. As a result, they're fairly high maintenance machines. The technicians are on site pretty well every day. There's electrical, mechanical, and hydraulic equipment that require regular attention. Occasionally there's a major parts failure and replacement required. That's a job for special hoists and lifts, and they're imported from elsewhere to do the job. But the wind farm technicians, they may be the fittest people around since they have to climb the towers to do their job. It's a 300-foot ladder straight up inside the tower with safety harnesses and a couple of resting platforms. But they say it's a fine view from the top, looking out over St. Lawrence, and to the west they can see across the peninsula to Fortune Bay. The St. Lawrence Wind Energy Project recently changed hands. The original owner sold out to a British Columbia company called Elemental Energy. A Nova Scotia company called One Wind now manages the site. The project is a clear success. It has a competitive energy product, and it is financially profitable, with a portion of that profit going to the town of St. Lawrence. The site can easily expand to produce twice the amount of energy it does at present. Unfortunately, it has no control or say in that, since that's a matter of government energy policy. The province is focused on hydropower right now, so there's no call for more wind capacity at present. Maybe in the future, if Newfoundland becomes a major energy exporter. Until then, the turbines keep turning, producing good, clean energy as they provide a pleasing sight on the St. Lawrence skyline.
Now we are ready to sail up the Horn. Way, hey, roll.
Hey, good morning. Carol Slaney, Laurentian Legacy Tours in St. Lawrence. How's your pandemic going? An unusual greeting, but I guess it's the times that we live in today. I'm in the grounds of a Catholic church in St. Lawrence. The grounds here have a unique historical artifact that I'd like to tell you about. Father John Walsh was the parish priest in St. Lawrence from 1883 till his untimely death in 1890. He was both a parish priest and a doctor, so he's well trained and served the people of this community for 7 years.
During a diphtheria epidemic, he provided great service to the community and treated the Catholics and Protestants alike. Sadly, he contracted this disease and died March the 9th, 1890. The headstone reads, "Erected by the people of the parish of St. Lawrence, in memory of their beloved and revered pastor, Reverend Father John Walsh, who died March the 9th, 1890, aged 37 years. A victim of charity, he laid down his life for his flock. I was sick and you visited me. As long as you did it to one of my brethren, you did it to me." Matthew 25, verse 40. Our late historian, Miss Ina, tells us in her book, Billy Spinney, The Umbrella Tree and Other Recollections of St. Lawrence, that on his deathbed, Father Walsh told parishioners that if the disease took him, he would ensure that such an epidemic would never come again to St. Lawrence. That was 130 years ago, and we've done okay, I guess. So be safe, wash your hands, stay in your bubble, and do what you can to maintain the prophecy of Father Walsh. Stay home, stay safe, and be well. By the way, the final resting place of Father Walsh and the other priests and religious sisters are located in a small graveyard nearby on Hogan Street. It is an important part of our town's heritage and a recognized site.
Anchors on board and the cables are stored to be rolling roundy dandy oh.
We have a nice gentle wind today, which is perfect for a clothesline quilt show. The women of St. Lawrence have done a remarkable job of keeping the quilting tradition alive, and their creative work is a sight to behold. There are at least 20 quilters in town, and many of them are showing their stuff here today. For most of our grandmothers, quilting was a functional thing, not the art and craft that women enjoy today. Sewing was all done by hand back then, and it was just one of many jobs, along with caring for gardens, animals, and a house full of children. Then it was about keeping people warm by piecing together whatever scraps of fabric could be found, when there was very little of anything to go around. When women got together in a quilting bee, they helped finish off each other's quilts. It was also a rare social opportunity, and I think an early form of group therapy for women. As families and communities became more prosperous, quilting became more of an art form, a practical yet creative outlet for women as they produced beautiful items for their families or for the church raffle. Sewing machines, synthetic threads, and then an endless choice of fabrics helped develop the craft in later years. As the sewing process took a little less time, a person could try more elaborate quilting patterns. Quilts say a lot about women. They are a sign of resourcefulness and creativity, of warmth and comfort, of practical beauty. Just a few of the things that women offer the world. And each quilter clearly has her own unique style and preference of patterns and techniques. The choice of colors is a real statement of personality. So is the level of detail in the work. Patchwork and piece quilts are the most popular since there are so many interesting patterns, with blocks, stars, log cabin, and the flying geese pattern, and many more. Some people like to create their designs with highly detailed applique work. Some enjoy traditional English techniques like the designs shaped from tiny squares. There are memory quilts that contain pieces of family history. And there's also the quilt that tells a story, like the traditional Newfoundland scenes you see here. Some of these women learned the craft from their mothers and grandmothers. Here's an example of 3 generations of quilters. Mrs. Blanche Pike made this beauty, and it's all hand sewn. Her daughter Margaret sewed the lovely green quilt, and Margaret's daughter, Patsy Pike, created the bold and beautiful quilt designs on the left. Some quilters learned on their own by reading books. But a large group of St. Lawrence women learned the art when Betty Beck taught quilting here in the 1990s. They all say she was very skilled and a great teacher, and her students all became beautiful quilters themselves. And now we have another generation of quilters in town and 2 women helping keep the tradition alive. Judy Pittman and Viola Turpin are both exceptional and very experienced in their craft. They're now teaching the younger women, who benefit immensely from that experience, as they experiment and create their own personal styles. Almost all the women say that quilting is definitely good therapy, a way to decompress and take your mind off things. But it can be an expensive hobby unless they can sell some of their work. Few people understand what goes into making a quilt. Depending on the level of detail, a queen-size quilt can take up to $400 in materials alone. Add 60 to 100 hours of love and labor, and you get some idea of the effort. It's unfortunate for the quilters that few people are able to pay the true cost of a handmade quilt.
Oh yeah, who made this quilt?
Those who do see the quilt for what it is. It's a special and unique piece of cultural history, a work of art that also serves a very practical purpose in the home. Many of the quilters make smaller art pieces as well, like wall hangings, pillows, table runners, and Christmas decor, and these are more affordable for most buyers. But you'll be glad to know that many quilters in St. Lawrence are happy to take orders and commissions to create a unique piece of history just for you.
Hey, George Jones, anything?
Local soccer leader Mark Pittman was just named Volunteer of the Year with the Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association. And for very good reason. Mark is president of the Burin Peninsula Soccer Association, and he coaches 4 minor soccer teams. He also plays with the Laurentians. Mark says the award is really shared with his wife, Lorna, since she manages the teams with him. Their 2 kids also play. Minor soccer was in decline on the peninsula. There's a lot of competition now with other sports, so enrollment was down and team performance was down as well. But within a couple of years, Mark and Lorna have got the game back to where it should be, maximizing the young talent and performance on the peninsula. Enrollment is up, and last year the under 15 boys won the provincials, and the under 14 girls made it to the Atlantic Championship finals. Mark has also championed the expansion of minor soccer on the Avalon Peninsula and throughout the province. This has led to a more competitive soccer environment for all young players, including the Burin Peninsula teams. Mark is pretty modest about it all, but his dedicated effort and leadership is really paying off, showing real results and impact. Congratulations, Mark and Lorna. So why did the otter cross the top road? He's social distancing from the chicken. Either that or he's headed to Carl Terrence for a bath. There's lots of out and about with the young kids these days. That's it for now, folks, and thank you for watching. It seems that people are really enjoying the show. We enjoy doing it, and we'd like to keep it going. But we have to figure out how to make this work because it's pretty well a full-time job for 2 people. As the fella said, sure, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. We're exploring options now, and we'll let you know in a week or so. Like maybe everyone has to throw $1 in the hat. We want to keep this going. Feel free to comment on that idea, and take care of yourselves.